Generating traffic and sales can be a challenge for online merchants. But selling on the Walmart Marketplace puts your products in front of millions of customers who shop on Walmart.com. And right now, sellers who join Walmart Marketplace can save up to 50% on referral and fulfillment fees for the first 90 days. So get started today. Head over to marketplace.walmart.com/savings. That's marketplace.walmart.com/savings.
Welcome to E-Commerce Conversations, a podcast by Practical E-Commerce.
What is going on, Internet? Eric Van Holt's back again with another E-Commerce Conversations. Hope all's going well on the other side of the Internet. On the other side of the Beard Brand living room office is Hans and Luis. Welcome.
Hey,
how are you?
How are you, Eric? Really nice to be here.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, here in Austin, Texas, it's 105 degrees right now.
Yes, and humid.
And
don't forget the humidity.
Yeah, and humid. So my studio air conditioner cannot hold up to it. So we're just awkwardly here, like in the middle of the Beard Brand office with some mics. But I'm excited. Wunderkeks. Yes. How do you spell that?
It's Wunderkeks, and it means wonder cookies in German.
Yeah.
There's a reason why.
Yeah. Well, so Hans, I assume you have some kind of German ancestry, or?
Yeah, my grandparents are German.
But you guys are not
No.
German.
We were born and raised in Guatemala.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we got the name. You should tell them the story, why we got the name.
Actually, it was kind of like an inside joke in my family because I was like the type A. I always say that I'm a type A in recovery. So I was one of those kids that did everything. So they say like I was a genius, that I was a Wunderkind. So when we came with the cookies, we landed like, hey, Wunderkeks, this is great. And it turns out down the line that we figured out that in Germany is a pot cookie. That happened a couple years
the
after.
universe.
Yeah.
Well,
so,
you know, if like this business doesn't work, we can always figure out a second business, keep the IP, right?
Yeah, totally.
I'm super excited to talk to you guys. I've had some foreign business people on the show before, but never people from different countries building a business in America. And I can only imagine how difficult that is. So tell me a little more about like when the business started, you got the ideas, and then when did you guys come to America and try to build it here in America?
it's kind of a long story, but it first started in my mom's kitchen. We used to bake when we were kids. That was like our holiday tradition. And you know, when you grow up and you go to school and your siblings get jobs and whatever, so you don't do it anymore. So one Christmas I had 30 days, I think, of time off. So I'm going to take them all of December. I'm going to bake one type of cookie for every day of the Advent. I think I landed on 18, but that was 1,000 cookies or so. So those were my gifts that year. And people were like, hey, you should sell this. And it took a while and it was kind of a side project. But at some point there was interest. So I kind of decided I'm going to do this. I'm going to figure it out. And it was a completely different concept. And it was successful, but it was a lot to handle for me. And a few years after, I met Luis, and that's when it really took shape because I was about to throw the towel. It was a lot for me to handle. And he came in, he really helped me give shape to it. And over time, we ended up even getting our cookie dough in Costco and Walmart and those type of things. But
This was in Guatemala?
In Guatemala, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Actually, when we got like in the Costco of Latin America, it's called PriceSmart.
The same company.
But when we got there, we broke the record for an In-N-Out product that hasn't been broken in 6 years. And we broke it like in 2 months at the most. Yeah.
So that's when it really took shape. And then with time, we were engaged. And with time, we decided that we wanted to actually get married. And actually get married, I mean like properly get married and be a family. And that was not going to happen in Guatemala. So we decided, we took a trip to California and we drove through the coast from San Diego to San Francisco through the coast. And everyone there was like queer couples with kids, a lot of them, everywhere. And we're like, oh my God, there's a gay couple with kids. Oh my God, there's a pair of lesbians with kids. And for us, it was very new. Like it was something that we have seen on, I think, Modern Family, but it was not something ordinary. And we kept having the conversation about like how, for us, we had like this kind of Stockholm syndrome with Guatemala, where we hadn't even considered this as an option. Even if we didn't want it, it was something that we hadn't even stopped and asked ourselves to consider. So regardless of whether kids are in the cars or not for us, it was a very nice, a very tempting idea to actually have it be our choice and not our government's. So that's how we decided to come. And we basically sold everything and took our dogs, 2 suitcases, and we came and started doing the farmers markets here in Austin.
So I want to circle back to a couple things and then talk about coming here to Austin. First of all, you broke these records. Was there any like marketing involved in that, or was it just the packaging, or what do you think you could attribute your retail success to?
It was, I would say that because of both of our backgrounds are in marketing and trade marketing. Hans used to work for Procter & Gamble. I used to work for Bayersdorf, and we were brand managers for Latin America. So we had really good experience on retail. We knew how to make our numbers, how to exploit the whole opportunity, and we knew a lot of the buyers. So that really helped us. Then when we got there, we were doing road shows, and what they are is that if you're not familiar with them, they give you just like a weekend, and you can every day.
A full week.
Oh, sorry. Yeah,
Right,
it's for a full week, and you rotate the store. And there's 3 stores, PriceSmart stores in Guatemala. So we rotated for the 3 weeks. And what really helped us is that because we believe that branding is everything, we did a very cute stand. It was like with grass and all pink, huge refrigerator. The photo that we used, it was like very welcoming to people. Like it was like the cookie dough with a scoop, and we had everybody, even us, we were wearing chef hats. So it was like a whole activation that we did. And then we were doing sampling. We're very good at, when we do sampling, we're very good at catching people. Like just grabbing people, ask them to try it.
Was it just the 2 of you all there, or
We had help, but it was us
yeah.
full time in there.
Yeah.
Because I think that what a lot of people don't understand about retail is that a new product needs to be pushed. Like a lot of people expect, I'm going to have my product on the shelves and everyone is going to be so excited about it, they're going to buy it. And that just doesn't happen. No matter how good your display is, it is about pushing and about talking about the product and the benefit of the product and what the product will do for people, but you need to actually do it. And what we have found that a lot of founders, I don't think, do is that we were there and we have been there. That's why we started the farmers market, because of course we were just the country, that was our business and we needed the income, but it was an opportunity to talk to people one-on-one. And that's something that is very easy to leave behind as you grow. And we think that's a very, very key part of branding.
And people really appreciate it. Like people, when they see you there, when they're talking to you and they ask you, it's like, are you the owner? And when you get to talk to them, they're like, oh my God, I'm going to buy it. I can't believe that you're here. You're asking the questions. You're pushing your product. And that's what it takes.
Where do you think you guys pick that up? Because I feel like that's, like you said, most people just kind of go through the motions. Was there any influential person in your lives that kind of like was that catalyst to be that way, or do you think it's kind of ingrained in who you are?
I think that it's ingrained in who you are. Like I remember that ever since I was a little kid, I was very good at selling. I was very good at convincing people. But I think that it's something that you can learn it, I'm sure. It's hard, but if it comes natural, people, they read it.
He's speaking about himself.
Yeah, that's what my case. But that's exactly why we work together so well, because we're total opposites in our qualities. I'm a people person. I love making connections. I love selling. Hans, he loves making numbers. He loves analyzing everything, researching. He's really good at it. So when you mix those two things, well, you have to get to that point where you actually start trusting each other. That's key. And that you start also knowing your limitations and knowing that you're not good at something, and that's okay. And if the other person is very good at it, why shouldn't he do it? So yeah. It was hard to get to that point. It sounds easier than it is. But yeah.
And actually, like all of that, for me, like when I built Wunderkeks by myself, it was kind of my creative outlet. It was kind of a way to express myself, which I couldn't do because being gay in Guatemala is probably not ideal. So I built a pink box and got behind the counter. And for me, the way it has always worked and is kind of therapeutic, and it was always so tied to my identity that I'm very shy. I'm not really an outgoing person. I can be when I'm like comfortable with people. And for me, it was like a very good opportunity to talk to people. So it really allowed me to have the conversations with people because I didn't have to find something to talk about or do small talk while I'm talking about what I'm building. And I think that has really served us in the long run, like when we came to the US, because talking about what you're building and how passionate you are is so important to give credibility to what you're doing. Otherwise, people can see through it. When you're like just putting stuff out there without much of anything, like without a soul, people can tell very, very quickly.
Yeah. The other thing I want to understand as an American is what is it like to do business in Guatemala? Like, is there a lot of red tape? You know, like I know we talked a little bit before we hit record, but I just kind of want to know, what is that experience like? What do Americans not appreciate about business that you have to kind of slug through?
Oh my God.
The first thing, I'm going to interrupt you there, and I'm sure you're going to continue with the second thing that I'm thinking, but something that it was really hard for us to get used to is to ask for help. And that was one of the things. And then when we finally got comfortable about asking for help, it was really hard to learn how to accept that help without any judgment or without any fear that the help was coming because that person wanted something else that was hiding there. And losing that fear for us, it took us a while to understand, like reaching out to people just to pick out their brain. And I remember...
Even the sharing of what you're building is not something that you do.
Yeah, like everybody back in Guatemala is like very jealous about the information, about their context that they have. If they succeed, they protect it in certain way. And what happens mostly is like people... In their heads, they're like, okay, I got here, I got really far because I worked hard. So now you need to work as hard as I did so you can get to the same level that I am. Instead of, okay, I got here, it was hard. Now I can help you out to make it easier for you.
Yeah, that was a hard transition for us. Like to understand that people acted that way was a revelation. And it really makes everything much easier. On the one side, much easier if you're starting out, and more enjoyable once you're already established. Like there's a good opportunity to help people. And on top of that, there's tons of red tape. I think I read somewhere that the average Guatemalan company spends 10% of its revenue in security, because that is a big concern.
Yeah, that's security. Like,
yeah, we used to have an armed guard in front of our little store.
Wow, really?
Actually, I got my camera stolen once because a guy came in with a gun. The other one was waiting in the car with another gun, and it's very common.
Yeah,
and we had the bakery
in the best neighborhood in Guatemala. And it was like, oh, here's a gun, give me a computer, and it's something that happened.
Did you have a security guard at that time?
Yeah. No, actually, we
did get robbed with the security guard. Yeah, he was in the front.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, the security guard is...
You're paying 10%. It's not even working.
Yeah.
No, it's
very common.
It's red tape over red tape. It's very difficult. Access to capital is unheard of. So it's a very complicated set of issues, like very complicated. And in our case, like being gay, it's really a liability.
Yeah. That makes it really hard. I would say that's one of the things that we were never hiding that we were a couple, but it wasn't like I was turning around and it's like, oh, yeah, let me ask my husband.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, let me ask my business partner.
Yeah, but even if you go to a meeting with your partner, you're not taken seriously.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult. In our case, I think it really helped that we were doing cookies and it was super...
Everyone loves cookies.
No, everyone, you know what?
It's easy to ask for favors.
There's this thing that happens in Latin American countries where there's a certain tolerance for gay people if they conform to certain ideas. Yeah. So it's fine to have, I don't know, a dance instructor or a stylist.
Like a prototypical...
Exactly, like prototypical.
Yeah, it's like it's fine to be gay, but don't paint your nails.
Yeah, no, but it's fine if you have like your kid's dance teacher is gay and you love him and he's great. But the same people that will accept you and even embrace you will rather die than work for a gay boss, for instance. Right. So it's a very, very archaic, very...
Yeah. It can be like a football player.
Yeah, yes. A gay football player. Well, a gay football player is a new thing here, frankly. So can you imagine how is that in there?
So I want to now transition into moving to America. So... You kind of made it seem like, oh, yeah, we just came to America. I imagine it was not that easy, right? Like,
nope.
If there's any international people listening now who want to build a business in America, like, how do you go through that? Like, what is that process?
Actually, it's not that complicated, and it is complicated because the immigration system is kind of complex and archaic, and it has very limited views of who should be coming to the US. So in our case, the only reason that we could come was because I have an Austrian passport. That's a long story, but I have an Austrian passport and we're married. So that allows me to request a visa, an entrepreneur visa that only, it's like 35 countries. Most of them are European. They can get that visa, and that visa requires minimal investment.
About how much investment?
It's $100,000.
$100,000,
Okay.
but it's a soft metric. It's significant investment, quote unquote, significant investment.
Okay.
So there's not a number.
Well, also that we had a really good relationship with the U.S. Embassy.
Yeah, but the point is we had a business with a great reputation. That helped as well.
Yeah.
But in general, it is a very archaic. So hadn't we had access to my passport and we hadn't
That would
been
have been
married,
impossible.
it was impossible.
So like Guatemalans just don't have a chance.
No.
Nope.
And it happened really fast, actually, because we did that road trip in California on April. Then we came back. We applied for the visa mid-July, beginning of August, and we got the visa in September. And in January, we were here. So it wasn't even a year.
Yeah.
And we were already working here.
Were you all officially married like in Austria then, or? 'cause-
No, we got married,
here,
in
actually.
Austin.
Okay, so I don't know how like the legal, like that was before you guys moved here or immigrated
Yeah, we
here?
got married first here because in order to get the visa, it was easier to be married first than to be married afterwards.
And we were engaged anyway.
Yeah,
we were
I-
going to get married in November, but we got married in July.
So you can, as international people, you can come to America and get married?
Yes.
I had no idea.
It's like going to Vegas. Like you can. The thing is that your marriage certificate may not be accepted in your country of origin.
Right.
Whereas if it was a straight couple, they would have no problem just notarizing it in whatever country they're living in.
Yeah, but America, obviously, like,
Yeah.
Yeah, but exactly.
and you're trying to get in America, so you could show American documents.
Exactly. Yes.
Oh. Today I learned.
I love that he loves reading and doing the research. Like, that's exactly what he did, because he put together, it was like a 400 pages document that we had to present to the
Every
U.S. Embassy.
single thing.
And he did that, and I happened to met the girl who was doing the interview because for one of the Christmas markets, her mom was visiting, and I got to talk to her mom when we got to the interview. I'm like, "Oh, how is your mom?" And she's like, "Oh my God, you're so cute. You asked for my mom." And I was like, "I'm gonna use every weapon possible that I have in my hands."
And this is the person making the
for
decision.
you to say yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It's like
she
going
just
to
Well,
a,
they're people. I think that's
Totally.
sometimes
Yeah.
people forget that.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like going to a bank teller.
Yeah.
You bring your documents,
and they were very excited.
Yeah.
They were super excited in the embassy. Like, they were like, "Oh my!" Every time that we did the Christmas market, they were like, "Oh my God, guys, you should go to the States. You're gonna crush it there."
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
hey, here.
So you come into America with a $100,000 investment. Are you setting up like a new LLC? Is that challenging as well, or do you just show your visa?
It is. Actually, you need to have the company set up before, and in theory, the investment needs to be at risk first, and then you request the visa. But you need to set up the thing is that with the visa, you're allowed to get your social security number and everything, right?
Right.
But if you don't have a social security number, a lot of things are way more complicated than they are. Like, so for you to set up a company, you can. Like, you can be a foreign agent and set up a company, but the thing is that you cannot do it from outside the country. Like, there's no, I mean...
Can't do it online. You have to come
Part
in
of it you can, so you can go on LegalZoom and set up something, but then I think it was the IEN, I think it was something like you need to actually go in person to some places if you do not have a social security number.
Luckily, I had mine because I came before. I worked here twice. I was for a year. I was in New York, and then I got transferred to Key West. So I was in a J1 visa.
Okay.
So I had already
had a
my
tax
social
ID,
security.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of jumping through hoops. Like, it can be done, but it's a lot of jumping through hoops. So I remember there was a time when I had like 3 task rabbits going to different places in Austin doing different things that I couldn't do by myself. So, and I couldn't okay, is it the task rabbits going all over the place, or I'm buying a ticket and going tomorrow to do it myself?
Yeah.
So it's tricky, but it's doable.
And so once you get your LLC set up in America, are you able to open up a bank account pretty easily?
You need a social security number.
Yeah.
You
so-
still need to get that.
Yeah. But I had mine. So for us, it was easy.
Actually, no, you cannot. No, to open you can, but it's way too complicated, more complicated than just waiting for the social security number. So what we did is that we came, once we got the visa, and a long time before coming here, we just came and did all of those things. But so once we had the social security number, the rest of things were super easy.
Can you get that tax ID number before getting the visa?
Nope.
No.
I mean,
this is so backwards.
It's
you need an agent and a lawyer, and it's super complicated. Like,
it's really hard to understand because there's stuff that you have to do before, but supposedly you can't do them before because you're not allowed, but you can. It's
very Byzantine.
Yeah.
It's totally doable, and the good thing is that all the documents are public, so the manual that they use to interview you is public. Like it's public, it has to be by law.
Right.
So you can just go and read all the manuals and all things, and like there's even like a structure. So this is what you need, this, and that, and you just do it. So everything is do it. And there's always workarounds. Like a lot of things will just require an affidavit for some things, but the affidavit you need to be actually in front of the notary. So that's where it gets complicated.
Right.
But it's totally
the other thing that people should know is that usually when you apply for a tourist visa, if they deny the visa, you can apply again in a year. With this visa, with the E2, if it gets denied, you can apply the next day.
No, really?
Yeah.
I mean, you need to change the circumstances.
Yeah, but
like
you don't have to
sales
wait
go
for
up,
exactly.
20.
Yeah.
But you don't have to wait for a year.
So we figured we're going to test it out because a lawyer will charge you $10,000, $15,000 to do this, and we figure we're going to try it out on our own, and if it doesn't work, we'll have to hire someone, but there was no need.
Yeah. All right, I want to switch back to business and talking about how you're building Wunderkeks. The big thing that we talked about at a networking event a couple weeks ago, last week, was you had some crazy PR exposure. Tell me that story again.
That was something that happened because I had no clue how to do PR, to tell you the truth. And I had to learn. I remember that the first press release that I sent out by myself, it was in this January of this year. And basically, I just wrote an email saying to everybody, it's like, guys, I know that I'm skipping every protocol possible on the PR world, but I'm a business owner. I'm not a PR agent. And I'm just asking you to help us spread the word and tell our story. And a lot of the journalists that I contacted, they reacted really well to it. They were like, oh my God, I love this. Like, this is so genuine. It's so refreshing to see someone that is actually speaking for their company instead of having an agent. And some of them, they were like, hey, I just want to give you some tips for the next time if you want some advice. And I was very grateful. And what I learned is that more than talking about your product, you really need to have your story and your mission very clear. That's the most important thing. Of course, the product has to be good, but it really helps when the story and your mission, they merge and they actually speak for you. And because, again, people, they can read it. We cannot be talking about saving, I don't know, like breast cancer. Like, of course, it's a problem, but we didn't live that. It's not something that we have suffered personally, so it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, but can I add something? Because this is something that I think Luis does instinctively. The mistake that a lot of people do is that they treat these things as transactional. So I'm going to talk to the New York Times lady because I want, like, dear New York Times lady, can you write an article about me? And that's not the way it works. Right. And Luis does that instinctively, but a lot of people don't. Like, it's about relationship building. It's like, hey, I want to introduce myself. I'm not asking for anything. I'm just letting know what I'm working on. And it's a long-term thing. So we have had that people that we contacted months ago, they have kept track of us. And because we keep, like, the conversation going for months without expectations. Of course, you want them to cover you, but what they need is to, like, be actually treated as persons.
Yeah, you need to build relationships. That's something that is very important.
But
you need to
does this automatically, and I don't think he noticed, like, how thoroughly he nurtures the relationship. Like, I see it from outside because I'm not that person, and I see it from outside, and that is the key. That is what allows them to come back to you and, hey, I have this great idea. Would you help me? And refer them to your friends, because to their other journalist friends who may be a better fit. And that happens all the time. And we're finding the exact same thing now that we're raising money. Is the exact same thing. It's not transactional.
Yeah, and the other thing that really helps is, and it has happened to us, that I don't know what's happening with our brand, that celebrities, it catches their eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we went viral because BC Phillips, the actress, she has 2.2 million followers in Twitter, and she saw one of our tweets. We had 25,000 cookies ready to get baked for South by Southwest in 2020, and it was when it got canceled because of the pandemic. So we were ready with the cookies, and it got canceled. We started promoting in our social medias. She saw it, and she retweeted, and in 2 hours, we got 700 orders. And we woke up to an e-commerce business that we never thought we were going to have. We actually don't even have a post office back in Guatemala, so it's not even in our system how to ship, or just the idea that we were going to ship our cookies nationwide. We never thought about it, and we learned fast. And what happened there is that our story was very compelling to her, and she was like, okay, I need to help these guys. And that's what happened. Then we did a collaboration with Dan Reynolds from Imagine Dragons. Turns out that he has a foundation that helps the LGBTQ youth in Utah, because the rates of suicide there are super high, because most of the people are Mormons and they get excommunicated from the church. And when we told him our story, he was like, dude, you made me cry. Let's do something together. And it was because it was coming from the heart. It was something that we were like, we already lived that, and we already went through a lot of pain, a lot of situations like these kids. So it made sense. And you have to learn that you cannot talk about the shiny stuff. Like, you don't have to talk about BC Phillips or Dan Reynolds. So you need to tell why they reached out, or why they were like, okay, let's move forward with this, because I believe in your mission. I believe in what you're doing, and it's coming from the heart, and it makes sense. And they're just people like us.
You can fake that, and you cannot buy it.
Right.
Yeah.
People see it, right? Like when it's fake, like when you see like those ads from, what is it, Beyond Meat with Kim Kardashian, where she doesn't even buy the thing. People tell immediately that is fake. It's so transparent, and they react badly. Whereas probably they cannot tell you exactly why they're reacting well to certain things. But it's in a lot of cases that, like, I actually like this person because this is actually a person, as opposed to some amalgamation of qualities that he hoped to project.
Yeah.
What is your mission? I'm a big believer in mission, so I always love hearing it.
Our mission is to build safe spaces.
And what we mean by that, it was something that our brand, we always say that it was like, Wunderkeks was in the closet when we were in Guatemala. And when we came here, it came out of the closet, but it happened very organically. Once we moved here, the brand started like evolving without us even noticing. And it was like a year and a half after we were here that we turned around and we were like, okay, our brand is really queer. There's something here. And we had a dinosaur with a tutu. We have disco balls. We have all these colors. And we were like, okay, I think that what we're doing is that we are projecting ourselves through our brand, and it's coming out very organically. And it was very beautiful to see it evolve like that. And that was because we felt that we were in a safe space. We were not afraid of speaking out. We were not afraid of expressing ourselves. And that's what the brand was becoming. That was the first thing that we realized. Then when we did the collaboration for Pride last year, I remember that May 29th of 2021, we announced our collaboration for Pride. And we sent out an email. Immediately, we lost 10% of our subscribers. For the first 2 weeks of June, we started receiving every communication that we received. It was like, I hope you guys die. If I knew you were gay, I would never buy the cookies. These cookies are going to give you AIDS. And it was very tough because, like what we're saying is, for us to stay in the country, it depends on the business. If the business falls, we just go back to Guatemala. So we were very afraid that we made a wrong call. But at the same time, we were refusing to go back to the closet. And we're like, okay, if people are not okay with this, and clearly it's happening here in the States. It doesn't happen only in Guatemala, that people are not comfortable with this. We need to raise our voices. And for the last 2 weeks, mostly parents were reaching out to us saying that they knew that their kid that he was gay or her daughter was lesbian, but they didn't feel comfortable on talking to them yet. So they got our cookies for them, the Pride Edition cookies, just to let them know that they were going to be fine, that they supported them, and they could talk to them. And we started becoming that signifier and a marker of a safe space. It's just the gesture that I can give you cookies or anything that we produce. And because it says Wunderkeks, you know that you're in a safe space. And that's what we're doing here. We had the huge opportunity to get a meeting with Jeff Furman. He's one of the minds behind Ben & Jerry's. And we just wanted to pick his brain about this whole spaces thing that we were doing. And 4 days after we talked with him, we received an email, and he was like, guys, you reminded me on when we started Ben & Jerry's. Like, after we did Ben & Jerry's, I haven't seen a brand that is going so strongly with their message and their mission like you are. What do you want from me? How can I help you? And we immediately thought that having him in our advisory board, it would be like that thing that we need from him. So he was like, he jumped in a second and he was like, yes, I'll be there. I'm going to join your advisory board. And I'm really excited. But first, I need to know 2 things. The first one is that I need you guys to be aware that, ironically, for you guys to put everybody in a safe space, you're going to be putting yourselves in an unsafe space because people are coming for you. And our answer was, we're from Guatemala and we're gay. So we got it. We got the skin.
We went to Catholic voice school, for God's sake.
And the second thing that he said was that right now it was a moment, because in the beginning we were actually talking about safe spaces for the queer community. And what he told us is like, guys, you have something very beautiful here that it could be universal. So right now is a moment for you guys to tell your story. But you need to open your space and you need to open your platform for people to start telling their stories, because everybody needs a different safe space. It's not only queer people. It's not only Black people. Everybody needs a safe space in a different way. And even like a white straight male, they need a safe space. So we need to understand, and what you're asking for people is to make first a cultural change, and secondly, to start those conversations, to understand what is it that you need, how can I provide it to you, and then what is it that I need and how can you provide it to me. So that's what we're doing. That's our mission, just making the world a better place by a cultural change and a conversation, and just providing those safe spaces to everybody.
I dig it. I dig it. Where can people follow you guys, buy your products, support you?
They can buy our products at wunderkeks.com, and hopefully in a few months in every grocery in America. And then they can follow us at Wunderkeks_ATX on Instagram.
And that was with cookie dough, right? In the stores? Or would
Hopefully.
they get
Hopefully.
Yes.
There, we have a ton of ideas. There's like so many ideas.
And again, that's WUNDERKEKS. Awesome. Well, I'm so glad you guys came by on this hot day. It took a little bit of time out for the show. I enjoyed it thoroughly, and I am amazed by all the things that you had to go through to get here. So I think a lot of times people don't understand the sacrifices people make in building a business.
Yes.
And there's many more sacrifices that we didn't talk about. And that maybe we'll come back on a show and kind of talk about those again in the future.
Yes, that will be lovely. We're starting our crowdfunding, so we'll send you guys a link.
Yeah.
If you're interested and you believe in what we're doing, that would be amazing.
Yeah. Sounds like you're raising capital for people or for investors. So feel free to reach out and have a conversation, meet these guys.
Perfect. Thank you so much for having us, sir.
Yeah, this has been another e-commerce Conversations. Hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. As always, cheers and keep on growing.
Keep on baking.
I love it.